Hello, this is Paul from Management as a Liberal Art. Now, in last week's video, we talked about the psychology of scapegoating and how workers can preserve dignity in employment markets. Quick recap, scapegoating is an emotional coping mechanism people use to address anxiety in an unstable society. Now, society becomes unstable when organizations dodge responsibility, when they prioritize profit maximization instead of delivering value to people. What organizations need to understand is they function as organs of society and exist for the sake of society. No organ can survive outside of the body. Businesses cannot thrive in a dying world. Organizations hold power, and power needs to be held accountable in order for it to be legitimate. Otherwise, it just leads to tyranny and corruption. And lastly, workers are the key to holding organizations accountable. They do this by maintaining dignity via knowledge work, by becoming valuable assets management cannot afford to ignore and must therefore respect. Now let's continue on to part B, how management as a liberal art plays a part in maintaining worker dignity and its overall value for this man-made ecosystem we call society.
How then should leaders respond to these challenges? Drucker offers an answer through management as a liberal art, or what we are calling MLA. It is an approach to management that fuses pragmatic decision-making with humanistic wisdom. Drucker argued that management is both a technology and a humanity. It deals with people, their values, their growth and development, and is deeply involved in spiritual concerns, the nature of man, good and evil. In fact, management is thus what tradition used to call a liberal art. Liberal because it deals with the fundamentals of knowledge, self-knowledge, wisdom, and leadership. Art because it is practice and application. A leader grounded in the MLA mindset understands that running an organization is not just a math problem or an engineering project. It is fundamentally about shaping a social institution that serves a moral purpose. Whether facing an economic downturn, restless workforce, or public criticism, a responsible MLA leader resists the temptation to respond with scapegoating or cynical quick fixes. Instead, they return to first principles. What is our mission in society? Are we doing right by our customers, our employees, and our community? Drucker insists that business enterprise and public service institutions do not exist for their own sake, but to fulfill a specific societal purpose and to satisfy a specific need of society, community, or the individual. The MLA leader, even when making hard economic choices, keeps this larger purpose in view. That means, for example, if layoffs and cutbacks become necessary, they are done with great care, transparency, and efforts to mitigate harm, not as blind purges to juice the stock prices. It also means tackling the real causes of insecurity, such as declining competitiveness or inadequate worker training, rather than demonizing a convenient external group. In Drucker's teachings, effective management requires balancing multiple dimensions and time horizons, economic results, the development of people, and societal impacts all at once. This is certainly difficult under pressure, but it is precisely when times are tough that values-based leadership matters the most. Drucker bluntly stated that economic performance achieved by mismanaging work and workers will, by creating class hatred, make it impossible in the end for enterprise to operate. In other words, doing the hard-nosed thing, like slashing jobs or cutting corners at the expense of people's dignity, is ultimately self-defeating. The MLA perspective urges leaders to find solutions that uphold human dignity and preserve the long-term health of the societal body. This might include investing in reskilling workers, engaging employees in problem solving, or collaborating with the government on safety nets. Responses that address insecurity without assigning blame. Drucker believed that management's first job is to set and exemplify core objectives and values for the organization. In a crisis, this may mean reaffirming that we will get through this without sacrificing our principles or each other. Such integrity fosters trust, whereas abandoning responsibility and pointing fingers at outsiders simply fractures the team and the public. Finally, Drucker's MLA approach highlights that leadership is accountable to multiple stakeholders and our collective future. He wrote, "A management problem is not solved if immediate profits are purchased by endangering the long-range health of a company. A management decision is irresponsible if it risks disaster this year for the sake of a grandiose future." In short, responsible leadership under pressure refuses to trade off long-term societal legitimacy for short-term gains. So instead of exploiting an easy scapegoat or indulging in short-term profit maximization, it doubles down on creating genuine value, not just in competitive products, but also an engaged workforce and trusting community. Such leadership, Drucker might say, acts as the keeper of society's conscience, ensuring that the enterprise contributes to the common good even when it's tempting to do otherwise. It recognizes that in the long run, the confidence and goodwill of a society are an organization's most important asset. In summary, economic insecurity should prompt better management and reform, not scapegoating of immigrants or other vulnerable groups. Peter Drucker's insights direct us to the real problem. It's us, not them. When workers feel demoralized and turn to quiet quitting, when communities fracture into hostile groups, we must examine how our employers and institutions have fallen short. Immigrants aren't the problem, employers are. At least, employers who dodge responsibility for the human consequences of their decisions. Drucker championed the alternative, management as a social function and a liberal art, which is grounded in ethical responsibility, focused on human dignity and the common good. Leaders who embrace this philosophy will engage employees as partners, tackle insecurity at its roots, and strengthen the social ecology that sustains us all. In doing so, they prove Drucker's fundamental point. The ultimate task of management is to create a functioning society, one in which people no longer feel the need to blame the other because they can see a safe place for themselves in this man-made ecosystem we call society. This wraps up part 3. In part 4, we'll tackle a few of the most common arguments made by those who insist immigrants are the problem. It's important to engage these points directly, with evidence and support, so we stay focused on improving conditions for all. So what do you think? Do you agree that our institutions are responsible for its people? Or do you believe that there are outsiders coming to take your place as day laborers or farmhands? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you found this useful, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody who's tired of corporations dodging responsibility. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. It always generates a good discussion. As always, thank you so much for your time and attention. I'll see you next time.